There is no question that we live in a great state. Thanks to the cohesive efforts of its residents, the state is being ranked #1 under many categories. Forbes magazine has ranked Utah 6 times in the past 7 years as the #1 state to conduct business. In a fiscal year, we conduct exports and imports for the amount of $12 billion. Currently in the state of Utah, there are 3,544 companies that conduct international business, and 400 of them are foreign companies here in the state of Utah, making a great impact in our economy. You cannot walk down the street in this great state without hearing someone speak a second language. Currently, the state of Utah conducts business and operations in over 130 languages, and thanks to a legislative, community, and educational commitment, today we are leading the nation in educating our future in bilingual education. Close to 40,000 students today benefit from the K-12 dual language immersion program. Utah offers a great landscape for tourism that attracts over $8 billion industry. This great state, often referred to as the crossroads of the West, offers global services, programs, and products. There is no question that we live in a truly global state. We recognize the great efforts that our government and business leaders have made to bring and elevate the state of Utah to what we are now. At this academic institution, we acknowledge and support the state's initiatives by creating events such as this one. Utah Valley University is a leading university in the state which embraces diversity, inclusion, and promotes cultural understanding and global awareness. As our university mission statement declares, this university prepares professionally competent people of integrity who, as lifelong learners and leaders, serve as stewards of a globally interdependent community. We are committed to prepare our students to live in a local to global community. Just 4 months ago, Utah Valley University was recognized by the United Nations as an exemplary academic institution and was given the honor and distinction to be associated with the United Nations Department of Public Information, the only academic institution in the state and neighboring states to hold such a great honor. A week from today, just a week from today, next Monday, 26 Utah Valley University students will present their research and voice in New York at the United Nations headquarters for the annual Worldwide Conference on the Commission on Status of Women. We are excited to move forward with initiatives such as these ones. Today, our students at this academic institution have the opportunity to become lifelong learners and leaders as they will serve as stewards of a globally interdependent community. Today's plenary session will be as follows. First, we will hear from Utah Valley University President Dr. Matthew Holland. After his remarks, Honorable Franz Kolb, Director of Diplomacy and Protocol of the state, will present a few remarks and introduce our dear Lieutenant Governor. Following their remarks, I've asked Madame Christina Hernandez from the U.S. Department of State and the Office of Foreign Missions to say a few words. This conference will address 4 areas of economic strength to the state. I've asked my friend and Mayor of Salt Lake City, Jackie Biskupski, thank you very much for joining us this morning, to address the topic of sustainability. Following her remarks, we will hear from Suzette Alice, International Business Director of the World Trade Center of Utah, to address Utah's trade and economy. Continuing her presentation, we will hear from Mrs. Meghan Stettler, Director of Communications of the Governor's Office of Energy, and our concluding speaker, if he's in presence, I guess Mr. Clint will address the issue of innovation and technology. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my great honor and privilege to introduce the leader of this powerhouse, the President of Utah Valley University, Dr. Matthew Holland.
Well, Thank you, Baldomero. What you and your colleagues have done in our Office of International Affairs and Diplomacy has been really remarkable today. I thank you for all of your efforts. When this was first presented to me a little while ago, I had a previously scheduled day, but when I heard who was coming and what the topic was, I thought I at least had to come and greet all of you today, which I will do here and then need to be excused. But I am so delighted that Utah Valley University is the host for this conference. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the entire administration, I welcome all of you to Utah Valley University today. And I want to especially welcome all of our diplomatic guests and consuls general who are here with us today. It's wonderful to see such a vibrant international community on this campus and participating with us in this way this morning. I also want to thank our many dignitaries who are here on the stand, our speakers. Again, part of the reason I'm here because I never miss a chance to hear Spencer Cox speak. We're grateful to have the Lieutenant Governor here with us today. We're similarly appreciative of all of the men and women who have helped on our panels today. Mayor, we're glad to have you here. Suzette L.S., Meghan Stettler, Clint Betts, and the other speakers you'll hear from today, France Cobb and Christina Hernandez. It's a remarkable group. So could you all join me in thanking our staff at UVU and our special guests today for putting this together. So. We are in a unique period of our history in this country and in our development as a global community. International trade relations, as you know, have become somewhat of a lightning rod in just recent months and weeks. And I know that, like many, we appreciate voices of experience and clarity on this important issue of strong international trade and global industry engagement. UVU is proud that we can play an active role in facilitating those discussions between countries and providing opportunities not only for expertise on international partnerships, but to understand how we can come to a better understanding of ways to work together to strengthen both local economies and the global economy. It's particularly significant that these conversations are happening on a university campus. The next generation of diplomats and foreign service members, corporate leaders, entrepreneurs, developers are walking the halls of this institution as we speak. Their engagement in these discussions is critical, and it's essential to the success of our international relations moving forward. This is precisely what we mean when we say that UVU is dedicated to engaged learning beyond the classroom. Today, our speakers will address the manner in which sustainability, free trade, energy, and technology and innovation form the core of our modern international trade efforts. Through the lens through which we will view these things will often be uniquely Utahn, but I know that much will be learned that will translate more broadly and be useful to various geographies and various approaches. This is a rich opportunity, and I couldn't be more pleased that our university is playing a role in fostering the relationships that will strengthen our world economy and improve lives for so many. Welcome to Utah Valley University. Thank you so much.
Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, before I introduce the Lieutenant Governor, I would like to express my personal appreciation to Dr. Baldomero Lago and Ms. Amy Barnett and their staff in the Office of Global Engagement for their commitment to foster international connectivity and giving not only students but also the business community of the great state of Utah an opportunity to meet our diplomats that are here today. I also would like to say that this is the largest gathering that we have of diplomats, of consuls general and ambassadors that we had so far this year. And so I want you to know that it takes hard work, dedication, follow-up to organize events like this. And so I'm so grateful for Dr. Baldomero Lago, who is also the Honorary Consul of the Kingdom of Spain in Utah and the former president of the Utah Consular Corps that has been leading these efforts. So now it is my privilege and honor to introduce the 8th Lieutenant Governor of the state of Utah, Mr. Spencer Cox, the Honorable Spencer Cox. I've had the opportunity to work for 5 lieutenant governors in my career, and I have to very honestly say that Lieutenant Governor Cox is the most colorful one. He is a great man. I have had the opportunity to work with him on a weekly, daily basis in many instances when diplomats come. You should know that in the state of Utah, we do not have a Secretary of State, according to the Constitution. So our Lieutenant Governor performs this function. So it is so appropriate that he is the keynote speaker here today. So we are very, very grateful for him. He serves as also as the Chief Election Officer in the state and the liaison between the governor and the state legislature, and serves on over 20 committees and so on and so forth. He lives in the largest city of the state of Utah. No, I'm just kidding. The beautiful town of Fairview, Utah, that is about, I want to say maybe an hour drive from here, and he has a very long commute every day. He's really committed to this wonderful, to the great state. He was born and raised in Fairview, and met his wife. They have a large family. They are the parents of 4 children. He graduated from Washington, from the Washington Lee School of Law in Virginia, and has a degree, as I said, in law, and has been working also before this as a state legislature, and also as an attorney at a law firm called Fabian and Clint. He is, Mr. Cox is really committed to supporting families, transforming education. A lot of people don't know that in Utah we spend over 40% of our state budget on education. We are committed on education. On the somewhat humorous side, maybe not humorous side, Mr. Cox is a bass guitarist in a band, and I've heard he plays a mean guitar, and so we are grateful for his talents, and maybe in one of the future events that we're doing here, we could have the band kind of do the middle, kind of in between a piece or two. But I am delighted and I'm excited to introduce to you the 8th Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Utah, the Honorable Spencer Cox.
Thank you, Franz, for that very kind introduction. I've been described in many ways. Colorful is not one of them, but I think he was more referring to my Twitter account. I used to think for a long time that my Twitter account was going to get me in trouble in politics, and then we elected a new president, and I'm perfectly fine with my Twitter account now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's so good to be with you today. I especially want to welcome the diplomatic corps with us. Thank you so much for joining us. As Franz mentioned, the largest gathering of diplomats in the history of our state, and that's a very big deal. I am honored to be able to serve, as he mentioned, as the Secretary of State. I did not run for lieutenant governor in the state of Utah, and it's different in every state, but we follow the president-vice president model of governance with the governor and lieutenant governor. The governor and lieutenant governor are elected on the same ticket. They run together. You vote for the governor, you get the lieutenant governor. We had a lieutenant governor previous to me, and he retired, and it was not an election, and so the governor then was just appointed someone to finish out that term and to serve with him. And much to my surprise, the governor asked me if I would be willing to serve. And I knew much of what a lieutenant governor did in our state, but I did not realize how often I would be meeting with foreign diplomats and with other countries who are here in trade missions. That was a little bit of a surprise to me, and so much of that has to do with Utah Valley University and Dr. Lago and his team, who are routinely, it seems like multiple times every month I get the opportunity to meet with a foreign delegation. And I think that is important and appropriate for what is happening in the state of Utah. And I want to talk a little bit more about that right now. On one occasion, a couple years ago, we were meeting with the Crown Prince of Luxembourg, who had come into town, was here on a trade mission and was learning more about Utah. And he had spent time in the United States. He was educated here in the United States, very articulate. Some of you may have met him before. And but he had never been to Utah. This was his first visit. And we sat down and we exchanged pleasantries and we had a wonderful conversation, and we told him all of the things that Dr. Lago told you about how amazing Utah is and the great things that are happening there. And he turned to me towards the end of the conversation. He said, and I asked him, I said, do you have any questions? And he said, yes. Why Utah? And I was a little taken aback. I wasn't exactly sure what he meant by the question, why Utah? And as I probed a little bit, I realized what he was asking is, why is Utah having so much success? He had traveled extensively throughout the United States. He had spent time, like many of you, on the coast. He had spent time in Washington, D.C., in New York City, in Los Angeles, and Seattle, and he had seen what was happening there, and he understood the success of those economies, but he couldn't understand why this small, square, rural, western state, kind of in the middle of nowhere, was having so much success. And it's on that note that I would like to share with you a few thoughts as I tried to answer him why Utah matters, not just to the United States, but why Utah matters globally, and why it's so important that you're here and that we're working to increase the magnitude of the relationship between Utah and the rest of the world. It's easy to talk about the economy, and as has already been mentioned, Utah's economy is stellar right now. Last year, in 2017, Utah led the nation in economic growth for the first time in our history. That's truly remarkable that we created more jobs per capita here than anywhere else. You may also be interested to know that we are the second most diverse economy in the country. So unlike some states who do well when gas prices or oil prices are high, Utah is very diversified. You're going to hear more about that today. Our technology sector is one of the fastest growing in the country. You've heard of Silicon Valley. Silicon Slopes here is alive and well. The financial industry is doing tremendously well. Goldman Sachs has its fourth largest location here in Salt Lake City, which surprises many people. They know about their operations in New York and London and Hong Kong, but are very surprised to find out that they have thousands of employees right here in the state of Utah. So we are a very diverse economy. We are also the fastest growing state in the country, population-wise. We are the youngest state in the country and the fastest growing. Now, last year, we were the second highest birth rate in the country. Usually we're first. We have more babies per capita than anywhere else. North Dakota beat us last year, which was a surprise. A couple people had babies there, apparently, very small state. But we grow very fast with our high birth rate. But what's also impressive is we were the 9th fastest growing state for in-migration. So the second fastest with birth rate, the 9th fastest with in-migration. More people are moving to Utah because our economy is strong and because it's a great place to live. You get a chance to go outside if you like to ski. It's a wonderful time of year, but year-round tourism is a big part of our industry. So people are coming because of the great outdoors. You can live in a very metropolitan city like Salt Lake City, and within 20 minutes you can be skiing and you can be hiking. You can be enjoying. We have 5 national parks here, and that attracts people to our state. People want to come here, and that's why we are the fastest growing state. There are several other reasons, though, why Utah. As was already mentioned, we speak more second languages per capita than anywhere else in the United States. And that matters if you want to do business, globally. Of course, part of that has to do with the predominant religion and missionary work. I was able to live in Mexico for 2 years. I speak fluent Spanish, and that was a life-changing experience for a young boy who grew up in a small town in rural Utah in the mountains who would never have an opportunity opportunity to travel otherwise, to be able to live in a place where I was a minority, to live in a place where I was able to learn another language, to learn to love and care for people who were different than me. And that has certainly changed Utah's outlook when it comes to immigration. We are certainly more open. We have tens of thousands of refugees from all over the world that are living here and are an important part of our diversity and the fabric and of our state, what makes Utah such a great place to live and to raise a family. My oldest son right now is learning Portuguese and living in Mozambique. He's been there for 8 months now, and I just got a letter from him at 2:00 this morning, and I would like to share just part of it because I think this matters, and it certainly matters for the things that are happening in our world right now and some of the discourse that we're hearing. He said this. He says, I really am just so blessed to be able to serve in this incredible place. The people here never cease to amaze me with their kindness and humility. I'm a firm believer that everyone needs to visit Mozambique at least once in their lives, because if they did, I think the world would be a better place. Now, I believe that is true, that Mozambique is an incredible place, and I can't wait to go there. But I think that sentiment that he is feeling is something I wish we could share with everyone in the United States and across the world. And I don't believe it's just Mozambique. I said the same thing about Mexico. But I believe when we have an opportunity to visit a place where people are different than us, what we learn very quickly is that they're not so different, that we are more alike than we are different, and that it is those similarities that make us part of the human family. And I believe if we did that, our political discourse would change. I believe that our economic discourse would change. And here in Utah, what you will find is because so many have had global experiences, and not just as missionaries for a church, but we do believe again in the economic growth that comes from globalization, being able to have discourse with those from other countries who are doing business here, and likewise those from here that are doing business elsewhere. We are changing the very fabric of who we are as a people, and that it is that relationship that we have with those that are different than us that make the world a better place and a safer place. And so here in Utah, you will find a place where the people are very open, the people are accepting, the people want to learn, the people want to live in other places and visit other places, and that changes who we are. Now, we also mentioned, as Dr. Lago mentioned, we believe in second languages, so much so that we are investing, again, more than any other state in the nation, in this idea of teaching our young people second languages from a very, very young age. This idea of language immersion that has started now. I have nieces who are in fifth grade and speak Chinese, because for half a day, every day, their teachers are teaching them only in Chinese. We're doing that with Spanish, we're doing it with French, and we're doing it with Portuguese. So, and we hope to continue to expand that. It's an incredible opportunity now that tens of thousands, 100,000 now, I think, of our young people are getting dual immersion language training from first grade on. And that will continue into middle school and high school, so that when they graduate from high school, they will be proficient and fluent in these additional languages, which will only help us as we continue to grow and as globalization continues to expand. The last thing I want to mention that I think makes Utah a very unique place, and it's the statistic that I'm most proud of. Every year we lead the nation in two categories that matter to me. The first one is we lead the nation in volunteerism. The second one is we lead the nation in charitable giving. We are a very kind and loving people here in the state of Utah. It is part of our culture. It is part of who we are. And it's part of the expectations when people move into our state. I tell business leaders all the time, we welcome you. We're so glad you're here. There's a reason our unemployment rate is 3.1%. There's a reason that our economy grew at 3% last year, that we're growing at almost double the national average. And we're glad you're here to participate in that. But you need to know that we have very high expectations. If you're going to do business here in Utah, you're going to give back to the community. It's part of the expectation that we have for you. It's part of who we are. And so what you find here is that government can't solve all of our problems. Government was never designed to solve all of our problems. but by helping each other, by being kind and lifting our neighbor, by looking for ways to serve other people, we can fill in those gaps. We can make the world a better place. And I hope that you find that as you are able to spend time here in the state of Utah. So, that was my answer when I was asked by the Crown Prince of Luxembourg, why Utah? It's my answer to you today, why Utah? We believe that what we have here in Utah is very special. We believe it can make the world a better place. And so we're so glad that you're here to participate in that. We want to be full partners with you. We believe in global trade. We believe in freer borders, and we believe in free commerce. We believe that it makes our citizens better, and we believe that it makes the citizens of your countries better as well. So please look for ways to partner with us. We are doing trade missions every year. The governor does at least 2 trade missions every year. We went to Vietnam last year. He's going to Mexico this year, and someplace else. Taiwan and Korea this year. Thank you. And so we do those. We do at least 2 with the governor every year. Our World Trade Center and our global team does a couple more every year. And it's important to our businesses here in Utah, and it's important to the citizens. So on behalf of the 3 million citizens of the state of Utah, on behalf of Governor Herbert, we welcome you here. We hope you enjoy your time here, and we look forward to increasing our relationship and working together in the future. Thank you very much.
I'm Christina Hernandez, and I am the Regional Director for the Office of Foreign Missions for the State Department. I, too, am a diplomat, and most importantly, I'm a proud Utahn. I grew up here, up in Ogden. I went to Weber State University in Utah State for my graduate program, and so good to be home. And I tell you, when I left Utah roughly 20 years ago, I thought I needed something bigger, a new experience, expand my wings. And now I come home and I feel like Utah just outgrew me. So it's a real honor to come back. A little bit about what my office does and how we interact with the Consular Corps here. Our regional office covers all of diplomatic missions, 106 diplomatic missions in southern Utah, in Southern California, Arizona, Utah, and Nevada. So I have the privilege to meet with the Consular Corps in each of those states and each of those regions. I met with the Consular Corps here for the first time in December. I'm kind of new in the job, so getting around still. And what an impressive group. Thank you so much for the invitation today to this opportunity here at Utah Valley. But what an impressive group, and so well networked. They're networked into the universities, into politics, into commerce. It's just impressive on how efficient the Consular Corps here is. And to be able to bring folks like you together is really a testament to what their ability is as a group. I have to say, from a State Department perspective and a Foreign Service perspective, I'm extremely proud to represent Utah abroad. There are things, I was looking through some statistics of how State Department and Utah interact over the last year. And there's 2 things that Utahns love to do. They love to travel. Last year we issued nearly 250,000 passports to Utah natives, which tells me, they're very good at renewing and seeing them overseas. And the other thing they love to do is trade. The trade relationships and the benefits that come to this state through trade negotiations and interchanges that we have abroad is immense. Last year was over $450 million in international trade to various partners. Utah has good trade missions, obviously. Mr. Franz Kolb is part of that group, if not leading that charge. So I have to say congratulations for a small state and low population, relatively speaking, to the United States. Utah packs a lot of power in their punch. The other thing I'd like to say about Utah is their exchange programs that they manage here. Later this week, I'll be meeting with a citizen diplomacy group. This is a huge and I think we might even have a graduate from one of our exchange programs here, Mayor of Salt Lake City. This is an opportunity similar to a church mission that you would have, where students go abroad or and study for a year somewhere else, or the other opportunity is we try to do a select programmatic type of theme to different exchange programs. So we're looking for leaders in their own countries or that are doing similar things such as human rights, women in STEM programs, things like that. One I'd like to mention in particular that Utah participated in last year as well was a STEM program for women. It was kind of based off of the Hidden Figures movie, and it was called Hidden No More. And basically, we had 48 ladies from around the world, from 48 countries, participate in a program that started in Washington, D.C., where they met with groups, university groups, also women in their career fields in science and technology. And they ended up in LA at the end, and man, the power of that one exchange was impressive. I myself, as a human rights officer in Budapest, was able to nominate a lot of interesting individuals who were working on minority issues or maybe trafficking in person issues. These are things that connect us as people to people. And following on Lieutenant Governor's conversation earlier, diplomacy happens on a person-to-person level. And though it seems a little chaotic at times with different governments around the world, you know, sometimes we harmonize better than others, but really this is where it matters. It's the people-to-people exchanges, it's the networks we build in opportunities like this that really build a good relationship between countries, between nations, and most importantly, within humanity. Thank you so much for the time.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a real honor to be here with you today. I come here off the heels of a trip to Mexico City, where a group of women from all over the world met for the second annual Women for Climate Summit. A very powerful time, and this year we incorporated mentoring, which I just loved, because those of us who are getting a little bit older and have been around for a while need to make sure that there are people following our footsteps. So as mayor of the capital city, I hope you find your visit to our state energizing, inspiring, and enjoyable. As some of you may have noticed, our natural environment makes Utah very unique. We are lucky to have some of the most stunning landscapes on earth located right here in Utah. This includes the mountains that are right outside these doors. Many people choose to live in Salt Lake City like I did and surround themselves with a community that is truly spectacular. The people here are driven by the challenges that we face, and we honor this great outdoor playground that we get to play with. But with growth comes challenges cities must tackle head-on if we are going to continue to thrive. And that's why Salt Lake City, sustainability is a core part of everything we do. As the capital city, we are obligated to lead on this front. It's about balancing economic growth and the well-being of our society with the health of our environment, today, tomorrow, and beyond. Sustainability means making sure we're doing everything through the lens of equity, ensuring a fair distribution of resources and opportunities to all people in our city. Sustainability also encompasses resiliency, making sure we are developing infrastructure and food systems, water networks, and energy sources that can withstand natural disasters and reduce man-made stressors. Finally, sustainability is a holistic framework for the overall success of our community. It's not an afterthought, it is a mission, it is our priority, and it is a value of ours. A value that is relevant of all communities as we jointly look into the challenge of this century and beyond. Salt Lake City has been a leader on sustainability for over a decade, but substantial progress has been made in the last 2 years, and it's been an exciting time for me and my team to help pave the path forward. Today, I will focus on our renewable energy, climate, and air quality work. As some of you may know, air quality is one of our biggest local environmental problems. Each year, we breathe in extreme air pollution, both in the winter and in the summer, when Utah exceeds federal health standards. And each year, we also learn of new research that links particulate pollution with a greater number of diseases, from Alzheimer's to depression to autism to infertility and to cardiovascular conditions. It is clear we must take action to protect people and our health. So yes, Utah is a wonderful place to live, but yes, we have work to do. Recruiting businesses to locate or stay in Salt Lake City is sometimes made more difficult when company executives visit the Wasatch Front and they can't see the city skyline or our beautiful mountains because of air pollution. But it is those companies that we recruit that want to partner and understand the dilemma with which we are living. And we are successful in doing just that. So sustainability and economic growth are intertwined. And thankfully, there are a number of ways local governments can take action and address our pollution. One is to pass an ordinance. We have done this here in Salt Lake City with our idle-free ordinance and our recent energy benchmarking ordinance for large commercial buildings. The second way is to take action, to lead. For example, it is our responsibility as stewards of the community's resources to walk our talk. This includes how we design and maintain our municipal buildings, the types of vehicles in our city's fleet, and how we promote positive sustainability behaviors with our employees. Salt Lake City is doing all those things, which also helps us save money. We now have over 200 alternative fueled vehicles in our fleet. In 2017, we installed solar panels on 7 facilities, including 5 fire stations. We also are completing the construction of 2 net zero fire stations. These will be the 2nd and 3rd fire stations in this entire country to have that designation. When those are complete, we'll have 16 total government structures with solar on site, including 1 megawatt solar farm. But more must be done. Climate change is also a significant driver of Salt Lake City's sustainability work. That's because climate change is impacting us here and now. Utah is warming at twice the global rate. The effects it has on us include our water, the air we breathe, and our ability to thrive as a city served by Utah's $1.3 billion ski industry. While many of the strategies we are implementing to reduce local pollution also reduce carbon emissions, we must do more. That's why in July of 2016, I signed a joint resolution with the City Council to lay out several ambitious climate goals. We call that plan Climate Positive Salt Lake City. The first goal is to power half of our municipal and electricity needs with renewable energy by 2020, and we're on track to meet that goal. The next objective is to construct enough renewable energy projects to power 100% of our community's electricity needs with wind, solar, and geothermal resources by 2032. And finally, we are working to reduce our community's overall carbon footprint by 80% by 2040. We have been leading this state. The state has not been leading us. And we need them to join our effort. Fortunately, we've had 3 other communities in this state follow our lead, and I am very grateful to them. We have also been fortunate to partner in these goals with our electricity utility company, Rocky Mountain Power, with whom we signed a cooperative agreement with back in 2016. The reason cities and increasingly our utilities are moving toward renewable energy is because the writing is on the wall. While fossil fuels helped grow our state, and we thank them for that, they are a resource of the past. They warm our climate and cause damage to our landscapes and our lungs. Just as importantly, they're losing on economics. Renewable energy is the fuel of not only the future, but of the present. The economics of wind and solar are outpacing the growth in all other fuel types. In fact, we are starting to see operating solar and wind now cost less than running existing coal plants. This is incredible and great news for Utah. We are one of the sunniest states in the entire country. And because of that, we have an extreme opportunity to be a major provider of energy for this country. So moving toward renewable energy is the right thing to do, not only from the environmental and societal perspective, but for the economic reasons. Let me be clear, Salt Lake City's leadership on all of these sustainability initiatives is about more than just doing something good. We're also turning a negative to a positive. We're building partnerships. Sustainability is attracting people, the right businesses, and others into the state. Many businesses are developing their own internal sustainability goals because they can rely on a supportive external network. We've seen initiatives from eBay, Cotopaxi, IKEA, PacSize, and others who want to do their part and play their role in the decision to expand in this city and in this state. So as Salt Lake City continues to make strides in achieving our 100% clean energy goals, we expect to continue to attract businesses who care about the environment, particularly those with clean energy goals themselves. In closing, I'd like to thank all of you who are also boldly pursuing sustainability initiatives and projects for your countries and your communities. There is a tremendous vibrancy and innovation and collaboration happening when governments prioritize pollution reduction, resources are conserved, and we are advancing clean energy. I am happy to work with all of you to drive our environment, our society, and our economies forward together. I hope this won't be the last time I cross your path. There is much work to do, and we definitely have an opportunity to partner. As our community grows in Salt Lake City, we will become an international hub for the world when it comes to trade. And I take that mission very seriously. I also know we can do that work and help all of you while we help ourselves in a sustainable fashion. So thank you for being here and coming to Utah. Have a great conference.
So I am representing the World Trade Center Utah and want to just share a few remarks with you regarding our efforts in collaborating on the global economy. Utah, as you've heard today, is home to one of the most vibrant economies in America. And part of that success stems from the recognition that global partnerships and trade matter. Utah's economy benefits from international trade and investment. And that's where the World Trade Center Utah steps in. Our mission is to promote prosperity across the state by attracting investment and increasing exports. We accomplish this mission through 3 key objectives, which are to help Utah companies sell internationally, to promote Utah as a top destination for foreign companies, and to expand Utah's global position around the world. Our first objective is to help Utah companies add customers, increase revenue, and create jobs by selling internationally. Creating and preserving quality U.S. jobs is a goal shared by all Americans. And with 95% of the world's consumers living outside of the United States, it makes sense for small and large businesses to partner to build stronger trade ties with countries seeking U.S. goods and services. Trade creates jobs for Utah, and export growth increases jobs by generating new business for Utah's manufacturers, service providers, and farmers. 95% of customers outside of the United States includes a growing middle class around the world. By 2030, the World Bank estimates that the global middle class will exceed 1.5 billion people. The middle class spends $29 trillion today and is expected to reach $64 trillion in 2030. That growing middle class has massive purchasing power, and they want quality U.S. goods and services. The United States can do more to take advantage of these opportunities the way we should. As a percentage of GDP, we rank 160th in the world with 12%, so we are close to Nepal. By comparison, exports comprise 46% of Germany's GDP. In Russia, it's 25.7%, and China, 19.6% of their GDP is exports. So Utah wants to change that, and Utah wants to export. Currently, our top 5 exports from 2017 were in primary metals, computers and electronic products, chemicals, transportation equipment, and food and kindred products. One of the ways the World Trade Center Utah helps Utah companies add customers, increase revenue, and create jobs is by assisting them in their efforts to sell internationally. Our organization offers grants to businesses to assist them in growing their international presence. Money from these grants can be used to exhibit at trade shows or to participate in B2B meetings with potential clients on trade missions which we lead. This year, we're taking Utah companies to exhibit and build connections. We have participated in trade shows in Dubai, in France, and we will be attending some in Germany, the UK, and with trade missions, as the Lieutenant Governor mentioned, to Mexico, Taiwan, and South Korea. The current preparations for our trade mission to Mexico, which will be led by the governor of our state, we are going to be taking approximately 20 companies with us to make connections and sell their products and to build partnerships and collaborate with companies in Mexico. We also work to attract foreign-owned companies to invest and build facilities here in Utah. And currently, the foreign-owned businesses employ over 40,000 workers in the state of Utah. From watching a soccer game at the Rio Tinto Stadium to the construction of Stettler Rail's new expansion in Salt Lake City, Utahns see evidence of foreign investments every day. Utah is home to approximately 500 international employers, and global investment currently supports more than 42,000 jobs in Utah, a 34% increase in the past 5 years alone. These jobs from foreign-owned businesses earn nearly 60% higher compensation than the state's average. A recent Israel trade mission, which we went with the governor this previous year, showcased Utah as a strong location for business investment and also exhibited Utahns are working collaboratively with brilliant minds around the world on groundbreaking research. Peel Therapeutics, a trade mission participant, is a company developing a cancer-fighting drug utilizing research into the natural cancer-fighting protein found in elephants. The Hebrew word for elephant is peel. And Dr. Schiffman from the University of Utah combined technologies with Dr. Schroeder from the Technion Israel Institute of Technology to co-found their startup to produce a drug that may play an important role in treating and preventing cancer in the future. Today's conference is a key way in which we strive to expand Utah's global position by hosting international dignitaries. We are so grateful that all of our foreign diplomats and consuls general are here with us today, and we welcome you. We are grateful, and we love to host you here in Utah to showcase Utah's beauty and the excellent business climate that we have here. As worldwide competition for global investment grows, the United States must continue to position itself as the premier location for international firms. With the help of strong leadership and a welcoming business environment, Utah is well positioned to keep attracting global companies and to keep selling our goods and services worldwide. To remain a sought-out destination for global companies and collaborative research, Utah must continue to be proactive. The World Trade Center Utah and its partners fill this role, but Utah can't promote international trade all on its own. It is important that we have good, strong federal policies that are enacted that will encourage global business because, as the Lieutenant Governor mentioned earlier in his remarks, we believe in global commerce, and we know the importance worldwide. Whether we're in Dubai or whether we're in Israel or Jordan or Mexico, anywhere in the world, we've noticed the commonality, which is that people want to increase prosperity where they live, and they want to have good jobs for themselves, for their families, and for their community members. And this is also what we strive for. And so again, I want to thank you all for being here today and welcome you, and we look forward to partnering and collaborating with you.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? I'm Meghan Stettler. I'm the Director of Public Affairs and Communications for the Governor's Office of Energy Development. And it is wonderful to see you all here today, and I appreciate you coming to take part in this critical dialogue about how we grow international partnerships. Because like Mr. Kolb was saying, it's personal, right? Business is personal. What I want to do is talk to you a little bit about energy. It is a topic that I actually find absolutely critical to our future and how we grow a sustainable future. We appreciate the partnership of the Mayor of Salt Lake City, Jackie Biskupski, and the municipalities here in Utah who are really leading on many, many fronts. So, like I said, energy is very dear to my heart because it provides us with an opportunity to connect globally. It influences how we live, how we work, and how we play. And if you haven't heard it and got it already, here in Utah, we are dedicated to building international bridges of partnership to grow business and research opportunities, to advance dialogue, and to identify new solutions that will provide mutual outcomes for our economic well-being and our environmental well-being. So let me tell you a little bit about why Utah is unique in this sense. And I think a lot of it has to do with the leadership of our governor. When he got to office in 2011, he really demonstrated national leadership in the way that he recognized the value of energy and minerals to our economic and environmental success. He devised a 10-year strategic energy plan. This is the first plan of its kind in the country, and he formed our office, the Governor's Office of Energy Development. And we are charged with advancing all responsible forms of energy and minerals to provide our growing population with affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy. And here are the three tools that we use. We use policy and planning. We inform and advance policies on a state level and a federal level that help grow development and innovation. Secondly, of course, is industry assistance through the form of funding and incentives, public-private partnerships, and also trade missions, of which we are very happy to partner with the Governor's Office of Economic Development and the World Trade Center, Utah. And lastly, education and outreach. Education is important for our future. Here's why. Our population is booming, our economy is growing, and we are going to need a skilled labor force to power our future. So what the Governor's Office of Energy Development is doing is we have created a library of interactive lesson plans for kindergarten through 12th grade. They apply energy to STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math through hands-on activities and other tests and things like that. Once, of course, you complete high school, we offer scholarships and also research grants at the university level. So again, we're trying to fuel this growing workforce that we're going to need for our future. Beyond that, for industry as well as diplomats such as yourself and the general public, we offer about 6 different events every year, one of which is the Governor's Energy Summit, Crossroads of Global Innovation. That's going to take place in a couple months, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that coming up. I just want to give you a snapshot of our economy. Energy is a $20 billion industry here, 50,000 high-paying jobs, and a lot of these jobs are located in rural Utah, where our energy sources are produced, and that's how we get to fuel this great experience that we have here on the Wasatch Front. The governor has an initiative to grow 25,000 rural jobs by 2020. This is not a small goal, and we see energy to be a critical part of this goal. So again, you can see how we are trying to fuel our economy. Let's look at what is fueling this real fast. So this is just a snapshot, again, of the kind of resources that we're producing here in Utah. This week, the U.S. Energy Information Administration is going to release its new data for 2016. And what you're going to see is going to be on par with national and global trends, right? A rise in natural gas, an expansion of renewables. That 2% renewables that happened a couple years ago, now it's looking about 10%, and that is going to continue to rise. That's not to discount the great contributions that our traditional hydrocarbons have offered to our economy. They have been the backbone of our economy for decades, and of course that is our efficient coal and our high-quality waxy crude, which is light and sweet. And we're looking for opportunities, of course, and exploring opportunities to get these to foreign markets where they can really make an impact because they are such high-quality commodities. And all of this, of course, is looking towards the future. The governor has a mind for innovation, and so we are growing opportunities across resources and across channels to help fuel our future. Anything from dynamic wireless charging, autonomous driving vehicles, carbon capture and sequestration. We are on the forefront of a very innovative biomass that you can coal-fire with coal without having to do any upgrades to your power plants. So we are shipping that through several countries currently. We also are on the forefront of geothermal technology. Right now, we're partnering with the U.S. Department of Energy to explore enhanced geothermal energy systems. And this literally could be a game changer globally. Also net zero communities, of course, which the mayor touched upon. And lastly, we're also creating a very unique opportunity where we take the food waste from our landfills and our restaurants, and we actually turn it into biogas to power hundreds of homes. Now, all of these topics and all of these ideas and the ideas that you bring from your individual countries are going to be showcased on May 14th and 15th at the Governor's Energy Summit, the Crossroads of Global Innovation, as I was talking about. This is a photograph from our conference last year. A moderator, Mr. Franz Kolb, of course, Director of Diplomacy and Protocol, very great partner of our office, talking to the Ambassador of Mexico, Consul General of United Arab Emirates, representatives from France and from Germany. These are the leaders in the energy space. And of course, this is the premier conference of its kind in the Intermountain West. Multiple US governors, energy advisors, 1,200 to 1,400 attendees, 75 plus speakers, and we want to invite you to come. So if your country is doing something great, we want to hear about it, we want to learn from you, and we want to implement it here in Utah. So here's a snapshot of what the upcoming conference is going to look like. We're going to have the first day, it's going to be called the Climate of Action. And that keynote is going to be offered by Dr. Ernie Moniz, who was the U.S. Energy Secretary under President Obama. We're very, very excited to have him. On day 2, we're going to have a panel that's going to be moderated by Bloomberg New Energy Finance, and that's going to be showcasing the minds of energy ministers and ambassadors from around the world and what we can learn from you. Mr. Franz Kolb will also be doing a panel on advancing global partnerships with consul generals and other provincial energy ministers as well. So we would like to invite you to come. It's a great event, and I'm going to leave the final word, of course, with the governor.
Hello, I'm Governor Gary Herbert. Energy fuels every facet of our lives, how we live, how we work, and how we play. That's why every spring I host the Governor's Energy Summit, the Crossroads of Global Innovation. Join me and more than 75 industry experts as we chart new paths for our world's sustainable energy future. Register today for the Governor's Energy Summit at governorsenergysummit.com.
Thank you so much for having me today, and thank you to UVU.